Hi, friends, and welcome to another edition of 15241 Today Talk. Jim Render and I will be chatting with Chris Gmiter in just a moment, but before we get started, Linda Dudzinski, our coordinating producer, has asked me to inform you that in USA Today magazine, there is always 4 pages about the Upper St. Clair Library, information that's valuable to both adults and to children. All right, let's talk now with Chris Gmiter, who has been involved in library work for 27 years. It all started in the 11th grade, is that right?
Correct. In the 11th grade, I started at the South Side branch of the Carnegie Library as an after-school part-time job, and just kind of took off from there. So it's been quite a ride and a long time, but it seems like it's, goes by like that. It just really is.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Carrick. For 3 years. I went to Seton LaSalle for 9th grade, but then I went to Carrick for 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Is the first thing you have to do when you decide you want to work in libraries is to memorize the Dewey Decimal System?
It's one of the requirements, for sure. It's really suggested. And also we use the Library of Congress system too, with the Carnegie, which was letters and numbers, so it was a little more structured than the Dewey. But we do suggest that. That's kind of a litmus test on interviews and things like that. We will pull out the Dewey cards and say, put these in order.
Yeah, it's like if you're going to be a baseball announcer, you got to know the infield fly rule.
I'm impressed that you came up with that question right off the bat about the Dewey Decimal System.
Well, don't be, but thank you anyways. So did you go into the library in the 11th grade knowing this was what you wanted to do with your life, or did you go into it and then figure out this was something significant?
I didn't figure that. I just, like I said, I had to do something after school, wanted to have a part-time job, make a little money. And once I got through college, I worked there through college, part-time, and I was a history and anthropology major. So if you're a history and anthropology major, you're going to have to go to grad school. You're going to have to do something because it's, I wanted to be a history teacher originally, though. And I applied it was my intention to apply for a graduate degree in education or in library science. So the first one I applied for was library science, and I got into Pitt School of Library Science. I went to Pitt all through undergrad and through my graduate degree. So I got in and I said, let's take it and see where it goes. And so I had no intentions of it originally, but it just, like I said, it just blossomed and became what it is now. I'm really fortunate.
Let's see, MLIS, that's a Master of Library and Informational Science?
Correct, yes.
Man, oh man, this guy's on his game today.
Don't be.
You know your stuff.
So what is it about being in the world of libraries that appeals to you so much?
It's the customer service aspect, easily. That's the helping people, connecting people with the information and the resources that they need. That's what does it to me. And I think that's why all of us get into it. We like to help people. The staff there is very helpful. All the staff that I've been involved with throughout the years, that's one common ground that we all have, is that we like to help people, connect people with what they want, send them home happy, and start it again the next day. So we don't have a profit, right? Our profit is helping people. Our profit is information.
As a director, do you still get to actively work with people, or do you have too much administrative work?
I do. Occasionally I get out there on the floor and help people out and work the desk or work the phones or work the curbside. We have curbside delivery now. And sometimes I do. And also I deal with internal customer service too, dealing with the staff or talking with the administration of the township, or talking with patrons on the phone or in person that have questions. So even as a director, it all boils down to that customer service aspect. And
I've been waiting to ask you this question, and maybe I'm way off base, but is the computer and the internet, is that a rival to you, or how much has it changed library work?
It's actually an aid. It actually helps us out because we do subscribe to different databases through the Allegheny County system and the ones that we purchase for the library. You can, Scholastic Research is all right there. Languages all right there. We have stuff for kids, genealogy. So it's actually helped us a lot. You can access those with the library card, and most of them you can get onto from home. So we have used that to our advantage, I feel, as a I don't want to say an industry, but in the field of libraries. So I don't think that the book will ever go away. I think that the book has its own value, but a lot of those reference materials, reference sources that traditionally would have been in a book or encyclopedia, or you name it, are now online, and we take advantage of that. So it does help us.
So the foot traffic in the library is still very alive.
Yes. Upper St. Clair, I found, is a very literate community.
Really?
They really care. Yeah,
I didn't
I know, right? Right. But the people, they love the library, and we do draw from other communities too because of the library's reputation. It has a really good reputation. It's been around for quite some time, and it's very with the foot traffic. We're busy. We're open some limited hours now. We're not open fully quite yet, but the foot traffic is there. We are from 10 to 4 or 1 to 7, depending on the day. We're busy for most of that day. People are back, and people are coming in.
That's wonderful.
The foot traffic that you referred to, is it a generational concern?
You mean how?
I mean, is it mostly older people that are coming into the library, and not so much younger people?
I gotcha. We do have in our adult floor. That's where my office is, on the adult floor. We do have people of all ages. We do see some older folks. We see some younger folks also. But in the children's floor, they do a lot of business up there. They really do. Families come in, parents and kids, grandparents and kids, caregivers and kids. So the children's room does a lot of foot traffic, does a lot of business. So it's all ages. Libraries are for all ages, and we do serve everyone of all ages, and they're coming in.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you're on the show today, because I think people need to hear some of the things that you're saying.
Good to be here.
And there's going to be a renovation at the library?
Yes, coming up this fall in November. We're going to start a year-long renovation of the library, and everything's going to be eventually on one floor. So if you've been in there, right, we have the third floor is the children's space. The second floor, as I said, is the adult space. And the first floor you come in at is the lobby, and there's a meeting room down there and restrooms down there. That's not going to go away. The first floor part's not going to go away. That lobby is still going to be functional. But what we're going to do is we're going to have, there's a side entrance that was open prior to the limitation of service due to COVID. But that entrance now, once it's reopened, once it's constructed, that was the former school district wing. The school district wing will be gutted at that part, and that'll become the children's room. So the children's room is going to be on the first floor. You can just walk right up into it. You don't have to go upstairs, take an elevator, take the stairs up all the way up to the third floor with the little ones, So everything's going to be right there as soon as you walk into that entrance. It's in the children's room, and it's going to be restrooms. They're going to have restrooms there, really nice design, nice kid-friendly design, low shelves for the little ones, programming areas. So that's going to be when you walk into that entrance, and then a connector will be built in the courtyard where Public Works is headquartered right now. They have their garages there. They park their trucks back there. So a connector will be built connecting the second floor children's space where the school district wing was, right, to the adult floor, or the adult space. So we're going to have collections on there. It won't be a void space. We're going to have collections on there. A lot of the teen collections, some of the adult collections, going to blend together. And the adult area will be largely untouched. It'll be refurbished, but if you've been in the nonfiction area, the adult space, that was renovated with new shelving in 2017 with the prior director. So that will remain largely the same. You know, they'll do a few touch-ups with it, change some lighting, change some paint, you know, however the architects decide to do it. And then on the third floor, which again was prior to this, was the children's space, it will be a public space. We'll have meeting rooms up there, an event space for programs, a bit of an art gallery, a gallery space, and an outdoor courtyard as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, looking forward to it, for sure.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
So to touch on, and we've circled around this a little bit. So you're of the opinion that there is very much a future to libraries.
Oh, sure, for sure. As I said, I don't think the book's going anywhere, and people are finding us. You know, we're not in my past work too, in my other libraries that I've worked at. It's always been, we've always had really good patronage, and I don't see that going anywhere. People, that's the first place people would like to come to if they're looking for something, for some research. They'll come to the library and we'll help them with whatever they need. So I don't see that going away. And I feel that the library in any community is a community anchor. You know, that's one of the things that makes a community run. One of the things that makes a community great is a good public library. That's why people look for that when they want to move somewhere. How's the library? They really do. You know, the schools, even the library is considered up in that. So I consider that we're really, really lucky for that. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
You were part of the Carnegie Library system for 14, 15 years, late 90s into, 2020, I guess, till just recently,
Yeah,
right?
correct, yes.
Before you came to St. Clair.
Right.
What was it that you learned about your talents and the system that is, what makes it work, what is important to librarians?
Librarians need to be people. You need to be a people person to be a librarian, no matter where you're at, no matter what audience you're serving. You know, you could be in a city neighborhood, you could be in Oakland, the main library, you could be out here in Upper St. Clair. You need to be a people person, warm, friendly, have an engaging, welcoming demeanor about you. And that might not be that way when you could be the most shy person, but when you're out at that desk, it just changes. It changes. So you see that no matter what level, a librarian, a clerical person, they just have that knack. I feel that knack just to help people and connect people. So that's the thing, wherever it is, whatever library you're at. It could be in any city, any town. It's just, that's the customer service thing. That's the people person. You want to help people.
How big a staff do you have at Upper St. Clair Library?
Our staff is 35. We have 35 people, 10 full-time, 25 part-timers. So we have a pretty big staff.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, pretty big staff.
You started at Upper St. Clair in April of 2020, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Jim and I talk on this show all the time about what a tremendous community Upper St. Clair is. And I saw an article, and you referred to the Upper St. Clair library job as your dream job. Why?
As a lifelong South Hills resident, you know your way around. You know where Upper St. Clair is. Upper St. Clair is a community that has a great reputation throughout the county, and its library is the same. And when I'd come back from somewhere and I'd be coming down McLaughlin Run Road and I'd see that library, those skylights, when you're coming up towards 19, you could see it there in the municipal building, in the back of that building. So I really would like to work there someday. I've always said it, always had it in my mind. And it just, to be the director there is, again, my dream job. It's just the community, just being familiar with it and just what it means to people. Every day I come to work, I'm happy. Every day I leave work, I'm happy. Love coming to work. It's a different job every day. So it's a tremendous place to work, I have to say.
That's interesting, because a lot of people go to work miserable and come home miserable.
Right, a lot of people aren't that lucky.
That's right.
Correct.
Or they talk about their boss or whatever.
Yeah.
How much fun is it for you to decide what books you buy to put in that library?
That's a collection development is a great part of what we do, and we enjoy a really good support from the township with that, as far as what we can order and the resources that we're able to order. We have a great team. We split it up into subjects, and so people can order a nonfiction area or a fiction area according to what they like to do. So me being a sports guy, so that's kind of my wheelhouse, right? So I get to order all the fun stuff, I feel, for me. But to see those books come in, the new books and the bestsellers, the things that you hear about on the news, are coming in that day that they are released. That's a good feeling to see that. To see that we have those things readily available for people. The things you hear on the news, the things that you see in the newspaper, we have those right there. So the purchasing is a lot of fun. It's always fun to spend money, right? So,
Do you take donations?
we do take donations. Right now, the donations are run through the Friends of the Library group, which is just getting back on their feet too. And on the second Saturday of every month, we have a collection from 10 to 12 where people are able to bring their books to the library. And the friends are there. And there's some staff aid as well. And they take the books and determine whether they're going to use them in their book sale. Some of them they'll put on Amazon, and some of them we use in the library for our in-house book sale too. So we do take donations. We try to get it just to that Saturday, just because the response is overwhelming. We really do get a lot of things from people, boxes by the trunk full. That's why we try to keep it to that one day. But yes, we do. People do bring donations in.
You know why he's asking that question, don't you, Chris? Because he knows Joe Paterno donated millions of dollars to the Penn State Library, so...
I'm good for 25.
Dollars?
Yeah.
We take those types of donations.
No, but
too.
I do have some couple of rare sports books, and some of
Oh, when
them.
you said donations, you weren't talking about financial donations.
I
You mean
wanted to-
donating books that you have.
Yeah,
Okay.
I may call you sometime about that.
Give me a call.
I must share this with you. I have been doing a tremendous amount of reading during this beginning of COVID. I've probably read 75, 80 books in that time, okay? And one of the things I told myself was that I should read Catcher in the Rye again, because I read it in high school and didn't remember anything about it. I was able to get 3 chapters into the book, and I said to myself, why am I reading this nonsense? I guess I'm saying is that I hated the book. I didn't understand and yet everybody considers it one of the great
Right.
bits of literature from J.D. Salinger. But anyways.
For sure. Yeah, there's some that I have come back to, or that I can recall from the curriculum in high school or whenever. I couldn't really get through the Canterbury Tales too well. We had to at one point memorize some of it. I just couldn't get past the old English, the antiquated English in there. But every book, someone's going to want to read it, but you don't have to like it. Some people give it the 10-page test or the 50-page test. Like you said, you just read part of it and you put it down and take it back. So that's, yeah.
Do you read much?
I'm pretty busy, so I don't read as much as I feel I should for the line of work that I'm in. I do read a lot of books with my son. He's 6, so I can say that I can read the Wild Kratts books, which is a series of books about, and it's a TV show about these guys that are into animals and the environment, things like that. So I'm reading a lot of that stuff. I'm reading a lot of the 6-year-old stuff, but I can tell you the last book I've read was, it's called Football for a Buck. It's about the USFL, the United States Football League, of course, in the mid-'80s, and the rise and fall, the quick rise and the quick fall. I remember the Maulers as a kid, so I was always interested in the USFL. So that's the last one I read.
Tell me about your son.
His name's Christian. He's 6. And he's dipping his toes into, he's in first grade, he's dipping his toes in the sports world. He played baseball this past summer and spring, and now he's doing flag football. So he's a ball of energy, and he's a smart kid, and he wants to either be a zookeeper, hence the animal books, either a zookeeper or a paleontologist. So he can name any dinosaur he sees. That's a Spinosaurus, Daddy. Like, okay, well, it looks like a T-Rex to me, but thank you for letting me know. You know, I can tell, I know the Brontosaurus and the T-Rex, and you can just fill in the gaps in between, bud. You know, so he can rattle those off. Yeah, he's of course I'm biased. He's smart as a whip.
Well, you've been big in hockey, though. You've not been able to get Christian involved in hockey, huh?
He's skated a few times, and he's enjoyed it. We've gone skating. Last winter, he was really into it. We went a few times, just the public sessions, you know. But if he wants to do it, he can. If he doesn't, I'm not going to push him into it, you know. As an official and as a former hockey player, there's some dangers associated, right? And you always worry about those things. But if that's what he really wants to do, he can go for it. I'll always support him. You know, we'll always support him in whatever he wants to do. But if he doesn't want to, he can do his paleontology work. You know.
What is the genesis of your love for hockey?
Mario Lemieux. Whenever I was growing up in the, when he became what he is, or what he was as a player in the mid to late 80s, they'd have the over-the-air Penguins games on 53 or 22, whatever the channel was. And I remember watching those games and just what a talent he was. And even when there wasn't a team around him, the stuff that he could do independently, that's what just started my love for the sport of hockey, was seeing what he could do. So I started out with deck hockey and street hockey, playing a lot of that, and then it morphed into ice hockey. But, you know, I was part of the Lemieux generation of players, and now, of course, there's the Crosby generation of players with the kids that are coming up now. But Mario Lemieux really did it for me. He was my absolute favorite. Him and Paul Coffey were two of my favorites. So, yeah.
You ever met Mario?
I met him one time. I was coming out of a training camp. It's when they was still at South Point, and I figured I'm going to go and try and get it on. This was before the camera phone, so I have no photographic evidence, but trust me, it happened. He was coming up the hill. Mark Bergevin was driving a Mercedes, and I thought I'm going to try and get an autograph from Mario, because Mario was in the passenger seat. And you could see them coming up the hill from the back of the rink there, and people were, you know, kind of mobbing the car in an orderly way. And I was in my 20s at this time, right? But I was totally starstruck. So they pull up, the car pulls up, and I look, and it's Mario Lemieux there in the passenger seat. And I just was like, he kind of gave me a nod, like, you know, what can I do for you? So he gave me sign my autograph, and it was so I did meet him sort of one time. Yes.
I'll tell you a quick Mario Lemieux story. Over here by South Hills Village, there's a bank. Not the village, up another block. There used to be a Burger King there.
Okay. So
I'm in the Burger King, and I look back in the corner, and Mario and his then girlfriend, Natalie, were sitting back there. Now, there was a family ahead of us, ahead of me, 2 little kids. So I finally said to these kids, are you hockey fans? And yeah, no, the mother hasn't said a word, you know. And I said, well, if you turn around and look back in that corner, Mario Lemieux's sitting there. And the mother goes, he is! You know, I felt like an idiot.
Yeah. Did they get autographs? Did they go over?
I don't know. I got my burger.
You said, I'm out.
Yeah. After you've caused such a scene. Yeah. So you're playing adult hockey, and you're officiating. Well, that keep you busy. Correct. Doing that.
Yes, it does. In fact, the officiating, I do that more than my playing. I play probably 20 times a year, maybe 30 times a year. You know, not as often as I did before. You know, Christian was around, or before, you know, my job got to be, you know, the management position, either with Carnegie or here. I was on 4 or 5 teams at a time. I was playing hockey almost, you know, I don't want to say every night, but I was playing a lot of hockey. But that's kind of scaled off, and the officiating has taken that over. So if I'm at the rink, I'm usually wearing the stripes and not wearing the pads.
You switched sides, in other words.
I did. I joined the dark side, as they say.
Now, you made reference a little while ago to Gene Sterator, who was one of our guests. Yeah. And you kind of like his techniques of officiating.
I do. I watched that interview. It was great. And I actually didn't have any idea that he was a basketball official too, and like very high level basketball official.
Big Ten.
Right. But his, when you blow that, what they tell you in the seminars that we have to take every year, when you blow that whistle, everybody's looking at you. Everybody in the rink, the players, the coaches, the fans, the parents, everybody's looking at you to see what you have to say. And one thing that Gene does, and even though it translates in, we're different sports, and completely different sports, and he's doing it in front of 80, 90,000 people in a Super Bowl, and it's 9 a.m. and there's a bunch, 12-year-old level game. But one thing that he really does that I admire is his calm demeanor when he says what he has to say, and his sort of gestures, your hand movements, because people are watching that, especially with hockey. You have to make a lot of hand motions. You're calling a penalty, your hands up, calling icing, your hands up. Each penalty has its own symbol that you do in front of the timekeeper to record the penalty. And that's one thing that he does really well, that nonverbal communication. That's a key. So like I said, whenever that whistle blows, everybody's looking at you. That's one thing that I try to emulate from him.
Chris, I have to tell you, he learned that from his dad. His dad, also named Gene, was a very good friend of mine when I coached at Uniontown. So I've known little Gene since he was a young boy. And you'd have to know the father, but he's got a lot of the showmanship, so to speak, and his hand gestures and his voice and command is from his father.
Okay. Yeah.
And but he rose. You don't rise to the Super Bowl referee because of your dad. Right. I mean, and of course his brother Tony was an NFL official also.
Okay.
Tony worked until 2 years ago. He took the year off, the COVID year, and then I since learned just the other day that he retired.
Okay.
Yeah. So we tried to get Tony on our show too, and we couldn't connect, but we did have Gene.
Chris Gmiter is now going to venture into golf.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's.
I might give you my clubs.
Drop them off when you drop the book stock.
Chris, let me tell you, it is the greatest game ever, in my opinion. It is a great game. I can't get enough of it. I wish you well with
Thank you.
Enjoying playing golf.
Thank
Before we wrap it up, bottom line, good news. Libraries are here to stay. They're important to the community. By the way, what connection do you have, your library, with the high school library? Any connection whatsoever?
We work with the schools in the community, in the district, right? Children's staff and teen staff in particular. We do have a relationship with them, but it's kind of burgeoning right now as things get back to normal. So we do have one, but it's evolving. So we do work with the district. We did over the summer. Our children's staff did some installations in the park with Public Works. We try to work with any department in the district or in the township if we can. So we do have a relationship, but it's evolving right now with the high school library. But we definitely do. And we have the high school kids come over. I mean, they're over there after school almost every day right now. Now that school's in session again, we see a bunch of kids from the school every day.
I think this has been a fantastic interview.
No question
Lanny.
about it.
I wasn't expecting a sports-minded librarian, and it's great that you have such a wide interest level. It's great as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
I don't know how the rest of the world would feel, but it's been fun to meet you, and you've added greatly to our show.
Thanks.
Well, if a free society believes that knowledge is the means by which we can continue to learn and educate, quite obviously books, libraries are critical to our society.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just look, we have 70-plus libraries in the county, in Allegheny County, and we also work we work personally with Peters on occasion, outside of the county. So yes, I think that's a part of it. I think that we're, again, here to stay.
Chris Gmiter, thank you very much for for joining us. Good luck with the renovation. Best wishes with your dream job as director of the Upper St. Clair Library. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Fun.
Chris Gmiter, the director of the library, the Upper St. Clair Library, joining us. Linda Dudzinski is our coordinating producer. Glenn Ward is our director and producer, and we thank you very much for joining us for this edition. Oh, by the way, don't forget what I said at the top of the show. Check out that Upper St. Clair Today magazine. There are 4 pages in there every month updating you on Upper St. Clair Library news. Thanks for joining us.